All right, this week I have another pet peeve rant TED Talk that I promise is actually going to still have some value and advice in it for you. We're going off of what my original content plan for this week and for this month was. So if you've been watching the past few videos, they've been all about kind of how to get ready for a new team member, how to interview and find that person. I wanted to dive into creativity in finding your right fit, but that's going to be bumped to next week. So come back, check out the channel next week for some helpful tips on how to find that right person if you are maybe in a tough recruitment spot. Today, however, something caught my eye last week and over the weekend that I got to take the time to reiterate a key point of business that has been so helpful, so influential in growing my own business, cleaning up my personal life, just all of the things. So I've spent a lot of time in Home Depot over the past few weeks just completing a house project. And last week, which was the second week of October, they were already taking down the Halloween decorations and putting Christmas decorations up. Now, I know this is nothing new. Department stores have been doing this for decades, right? And every year there's always a little clique that I'm with that gets heavily annoyed by this. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Same thing happened in Target. I went to go look for a shirt for a church event, could barely find anything related to Halloween because they were just picked clean of all Halloween stuff. They were already making the preparation for Christmas. It's like Halloween has not even happened. Why are we talking about Christmas? Now, what exactly does this have to do with business? I have found that people in general, it's so easy in our professional and personal life to be easily swayed, to be subtly influenced, and especially during the holiday time, we kind of get pushed into a certain direction. Now, I'm not going to go on a rant about like capitalism or anything. Like money makes the world go round, cool, hippity doo dah. What my point really is that it's hard to not get swayed in certain directions that really lead us to be misaligned with our business. And so what I really encourage all of my clients, my friends, business networking connections is to fully embrace the idea of simplicity. I think that is such a strong pillar. I stand on that pillar besides my pillar of faith. Simplicity is number 2 there. It is such a strong key to success in every facet of life. So my encouragement, if you are tired of hearing live simply and simplicity is key and all of that stuff, and it just sounds vague, then flip this on its head and just embrace the idea of being aggressively, rigorously skeptical of anything that seems like it might possibly complicate things. Business and life creates enough complication on its own. Even when you try to keep everything simple, issues are going to happen. Everybody is in the business of people. People make things complicated. Like complexities will happen on their own in life and in business. So don't invite the complexities on your own. And I get that also sounds vague. And so as always, I'm going to ground it with 3 practical strategies here. The number 1, the first way that I would say of how to be highly skeptical of things that might complicate your life and how to really embrace simplicity in business. The first thing I'd say is to stop being oversubscribed. This is a trap I fell into early on in my business, and I see lots of business owners that are still, decades into their business or even just a few years into their business. This is happening to them as well. So this is a no judgment strategy, but stop being oversubscribed. What exactly do I mean by this? Well, when I first started in business, I was not coming in with like 20 years of corporate experience. I was not coming in with like an MBA or anything to make me feel big and badass in business. So I was like, all right, I got to learn. I got to follow all these people. I got to soak up all this information, and I've got to really learn how to do business right. What that ended up doing for me is just meant that there was a lot of content and a lot of information and resources from every single angle, from a lot of different like LinkedIn influencers, business course creators, the works. And it meant that I was inundated with way too much information, possible strategies, the do's and don'ts. It was not helpful. And so I pared that back. There should only be a very select number of people that actually influence how you go about business. Now, you don't have to unfollow everybody, but unsubscribe yourself from being influenced by their content as far as your business strategy goes. Hopefully, I still make the short list of people that you might listen to as far as your business strategy goes, as far as team hiring and all that fun stuff. But if not, that's fine. Like, unsubscribe from me, have a short list of business mentors and strategists, influencers, whomever, that you really take your core information around business from. Now, the second strategy here is whenever a problem arises in business, or even like when you want to do something new, really get into questioning what the problem you're actually trying to solve is. Get to that root cause of the issue. This is the cliche of understanding your why, not the how. But if you don't do that, you're going to end up doing band-aid solutions on a bunch of crap in business, and you're going to complicate the heck out of your team, out of your processes, out of how you make decisions. So anytime you're trying to solve a problem, don't just throw a band-aid solution on it. Really get to the root cause and understand what problem are you actually trying to solve. For example, a few years ago, we were having some client experience issues. And so me and my operations manager went hard on figuring out resources, SOPs, different things that we could equip our VAs with to really elevate the client experience, how to help them think a whole lot more critically about things. When in reality, those things are helpful. The truth of the matter was we just needed to elevate the types of VAs that we're bringing onto our team. That was the core issue that caused a bunch of other problems. So really try to evaluate what the problem you're trying to solve is, and the solutions to that are going to be way simpler, cheaper, easier to implement. Like, just don't waste the time on complicating your life is basically what I'm saying there. All right, number 3, the third way to be skeptical about overcomplication in your business is to be at peace with the boring. Now, I know that's a hard thing to hear, especially for other visionaries. If you're an idea person or you just have gone hard on the label of ADHD, then the idea of monotony in your day-to-day work, in the boring stuff in work, that's a hard concept. So let me put some thought and disclaimer here. First off, a lot of the boring stuff in business is actually quite profitable. This is the idea of 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your work. So how do you really focus on that 20%? Most of the time, it's not the super, super fun stuff. Caveat there is that I do always tell business owners to figure out what the fun part of business is for you, and you're going to flourish in that. We can delegate the rest, but there are certain boring things of business that are just profitable. Embrace that. There's nothing wrong with that. If you are an idea person and you're like, well, I need some variety in my day, that's totally fine. It's just when you have a new idea for business, you don't have to scrape and overhaul everything you've done before. For instance, if you're a consultant and you want to be a speaker, keep consulting. Your main profit driver does not have to be being a keynote speaker right now. It might become that, but it doesn't have to be just because you have this new idea. If you're in a more field product-based business, keep on doing the projects that bring in the profit, that you can do well, that you know work. And then, okay, where can we have maybe some more complex projects? And let's just dip our toe in the water on that. We don't have to fully focus on just the really hard projects. Let's just figure out how to do those and simplify how we do those before we stop doing the other boring stuff. Because eventually we'll simplify and get so good at the complex stuff that then that becomes boring and we can make a really easy profit off of that. So make peace with the boring parts of business. That, along with unsubscribing from a bunch of content that might be influencing your business strategy and really understanding the root cause of problems, those 3 strategies are going to help you be more skeptical and more resistant to unnecessary complication in your business and really embrace the simplicity and the peace that comes with simplicity in business and in life in general. All right, that's it for my rant today. Come back next week for more tips on how to get creative in your interviewing and recruiting strategies.